Today's top stories. The Philippines is removed from the list of the top 5 most dangerous countries for journalists. President Duterte calls on barangay officials to join the fight against communist rebels. A lawmaker warns that the abolition of the road board may not stop corruption. And the Magnolia Hotshots wins the PBA Governor's Cup Finals.
Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The government reiterates its vow to protect press freedom and the welfare of members of the media. This as the Reporters Without Borders removes the Philippines from the list of the most dangerous countries for journalists. More on this from Rom Dulfo.
The Philippines is out of the top 5 most dangerous countries for journalists in 2018. Based on the annual report of media freedom organization, Reporters Without Borders, the list of top 5 deadliest countries for media this year is now occupied by Afghanistan at the top spot. The bloody shooting at the Capital Gazette newspaper's 5 employees in June has placed the U.S. for the first time to the top 5. The RSF report showed that a total of 80 journalists were killed this year. The Philippines, which was among the top 5 most dangerous countries for media last year, has 3 journalists killed this year. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar attributes the country's delisting to President Duterte's show of concern to the country's fourth estate. The president dedicated his first administrative order, or AO, for the creation of the Presidential Task Force on Media Security, or PT-FOMS, on October 11, 2016. In a statement, the PT-FOMS vowed to be relentless in the pursuit of justice for media workers. Last October, the Philippines was named by the Committee to Protect Journalists as one of the countries with an improved status in its 2018 Global Impunity Index. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines condemned the attack by the New People's Army on an army detachment in Sibagat, Agusan del Sur. 2 soldiers and 12 Kafgu were taken hostage by communist rebels in the attack, and about 24 caliber firearms were seized. AFP Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Benjamin Madrigal says the attack is proof of the treachery of the NPA amidst its declaration of a unilateral ceasefire. The attack is the first ever related to the NPA's 50th anniversary. A bill seeking to scrap the road board will not completely abolish the corruption-plagued agency. House Majority Leader Rolando Andaya Jr. clarifies that House Bill 7436 grants the Departments of Public Works, Transportation and Environment absolute power over the motor vehicle users' charge collections. Andaya says the House bill, which the Senate is insisting to pass, only makes it easier for funds to be released, which could still lead to corruption. It also creates new spending criteria for garbage collection, waste disposal, and solid waste program, which Andaya says is not related to road transportation projects. Malacanang earlier said President Rodrigo Duterte will sign House Bill 7436 into law as soon as it is submitted to him. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo, on the other hand, said the palace is still against the release of the 45 billion peso road users tax. President Rodrigo Duterte calls on barangay officials and tribal leaders to resist the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army and cooperate in ending the communist insurgency in the country. In his speech before local leaders in Davao City, President Duterte voiced concerns over the continued harassment by CPP-NPA in the countryside. He lambasted the CPP-NPA for their continued attacks, not only on indigenous peoples groups, but even the families of soldiers and government militiamen. The president underscored the role of barangay officials in the government's anti-insurgency campaign and in the efforts to end the communist rebellion during his term. The government is fully equipped to fight the CPP-NPA, which is listed as a terrorist organization by the United States and the European Union. The PNP puts off gun muzzle sealing for the coming new year, and the Supreme Court approves the purchase of property for its new site. More on these and other news around the metro from Benj Bondo.
The Philippine National Police will not hold gun muzzle sealing for this year's holiday revelry to prove that police personnel are responsible enough. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde hopes there would be no reports of indiscriminate firing like last year. He warned that cops who illegally use their service firearms will be facing appropriate charges. The NCRPO will also intensify its campaign against loose firearms to prevent indiscriminate firing of guns. Meanwhile, Chief Justice Lucas Belsamin signed the papers for the purchase of a property for the new site of the Supreme Court. The 1 billion peso property is located at a former Philippine Army Security Escort Group area in Fort Bonifacio, Taguig City. The Chief Justice signed agreements with Bases Conversion and Development Authority for the construction of the access roads going to C5 and Campus Avenue in the McKinley area. In other news, the Philippine National Police warns the public against online scams circulating this Christmas, especially those involving online shops. The PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group reports nearly 1,000 cases of online scams from January to November this year. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Bondo.
Still to come, the Davao City government promises higher salaries for government workers next year. More on this when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Sinasabi na meron daw 51 billion na insertion. Hindi totoo yun. Actually, ang adjustment na ginawa namin is not 51 but 75 billion. Nag-submit ang DPWH ng budget sa amin as required sometime in March. Ang kanyang sinubmit total 652 billion. Yung tinatawag namin Tier 1, yun yung continuing program. Yung mga ginagawa na nila previous years na dapat matapos na. So, binigyan namin sila initially ng 123.9 billion. Tapos, dun sa Tier 2, ito yung mga bagong proyekto nila, ang amount nun is 528 billion. Sinubmit ng DPWH. So, nireview namin yun. So, nagkaroon kami ng approval na Tier 2, 356.2 billion. So, Tier 1 plus Tier 2 ay nagkakahalaga ng 480.1 billion. Ngayon, kami naman yung tinatawag na Development Budget Coordination Committee, meron kami mga parameters, yung mga anong kailangan ng budget. So, nagkataon naman na meron pa kami tinatawag na fiscal space. Meron pang available na extra money. So, on that basis, in-adjust namin yung budget ng DPWH. Dinagdagan namin ng 75.5 billion. So, ang total budget niya na nakalagay doon sa President's budget ay 555 billion with that 75 billion. Proseso kasi is we prepare the budget, yung tinatawag na budget preparation phase. Tapos, pag natapos yun, pag na-approve na ni Presidente, yung President's budget, we send it to the House. No? Yung sinasabi na insertion ay nangyari yun sa executive. But it's not really insertion because the budget is not final until it's approved by the President. Hindi mo naman may tatago yung adjustments no? Kasi you just compare the President's budget with the General Appropriations Bill as prepared by the House and line by line makikita mo kung saan nagkaroon ng adjustment.
President Rodrigo Duterte vows to prevent the New People's Army from disrupting the peace talks. This as he slammed the communist rebels for their continued show of violence despite the efforts by the government. Maricor Zapata has the story.
Malacanang said on Wednesday, President Rodrigo Duterte is open to end bloodshed, but will never allow New People's Army rebels to violate the peace talks. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo made this response when asked if the government is still open to peace talks despite the president's remarks about showing no mercy to the NPA. Duterte expressed frustration over recent attacks by rebels in Bicol and Davao regions, despite the Communist Party of the Philippines' declaration of a unilateral Christmas ceasefire. The president threatened to finish off the rebels, saying they do not deserve mercy because of their cruelty. Panelo said the CPP should have shown sincerity when they declared a Christmas truce. The palace is still keeping its decision not to reciprocate the holiday truce declared by the CPP. This is amid speculations that the leftist group might use the holiday truce to strengthen its force in time for its 50th anniversary on December 26. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
President Rodrigo Duterte is expected to sign the rice tariffication bill anytime soon. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo says the bill has been submitted to the office of the president. Panelo did not give a specific reason why it is taking time before the president signed the bill into law, but noted that the president had a lot of other tasks to prioritize. Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol earlier said the National Food Authority will stop selling the 27 peso per kilo rice should the rice tariffication bill be signed into law. Panelo allayed fears that this would have an adverse effect on NFA rice buyers. The president certified the rice tariffication bill as urgent to address the need for ample supply of more affordable rice. The bicameral conference committee approved the bill on November 22nd. Expect more housing projects to rise as more construction projects were approved and started in the third quarter of 2018. More on this from Miguel Hill.
The Philippine Statistics Authority says approved construction projects from July to September this year increased by 16.7%. Approved building permits rose to 42,111 in the third quarter this year, from 36,076 in the same period last year. Construction volume this quarter jumped by 45% to 104 billion pesos from 72.1 billion pesos last year. The bulk of these construction projects are in the residential sector. Most of the projects that acquired government's clearance are located in Calabarzon, Central Visayas, Central Luzon, Metro Manila, and Western Visayas. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
41 New People's Army rebels and over 100 supporters have separately surrendered to the authorities in the two Zamboanga provinces. The rebels yielded to the Army's 44th and 53rd Infantry Battalion in Zamboanga. Philippine Army says the rebel surrenders will be a setback for the upcoming 50th anniversary of the Communist Party of the Philippines on December 26. The military will facilitate the enrollment of the surrenderers to the government's enhanced comprehensive local integration program. Government employees in Davao City expect to receive higher salaries next year. And government troops rescue the family of an Abu Sayyaf member. More on these stories from the provinces from Janice Cabe.
In Davao City, Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio promises to increase the wages next year. Regular employees will receive salaries about 10,000 pesos monthly, while voluntary employees will receive an additional 500 pesos in their allowance. In Sulu, government troops rescued 3 people, including 2 children who were trapped during a recent firefight in Minis Island, Patikul. The rescued individuals were identified as Mana Sulaiman and her 2 daughters aged 7 and 2. Mana Sulaiman is the wife of Abu Sayyaf member Jackie Sulaiman. 7 ASG bandits and a soldier were killed, while 3 other soldiers were wounded during the December 12 firefight. In Baguio City, the occupancy rate of hotels has reached 98% during the Yuletide season. December in Baguio is a peak tourism season with people from the lowlands coming to the city to experience the dip in temperature. The holiday season in Baguio is continuing up to Panagbenga Festival and until the summer season. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Up next, the United States seeks to improve its relations with the Philippines. The Magnolia Hotshots wins the PBA Governors Cup Finals. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Planning to go on a quick getaway? La Union and Benguet are two of the most visited getaway spots for locals and tourists alike. Thus, to ease travel time and attract more tourists, the Department of Public Works and Highways, Regional Office 1, undertook the construction of Anduyan Bridge along Anduyan, Rizal, San Pascual, Nangalesan, Asin Road, and the Arengay-Tubao Alternative Road leading to Asin Hot Spring and Baguio City. Under the leadership of DPWH Secretary Mark A. Villar, Senior Undersecretary Rafael C. Yabut, Assistant Secretary Eugenio R. Pipo Jr., and Regional Director Ronel M. Tan, the construction of the new Anduyan Bridge in Tubao, La Union was completed. The two-lane bridge with sidewalks and concrete railings on each side include provisions of slope protection, road safety devices, and solar-powered streetlights. Serving as a crucial link to tourism sites across barangays Anduyan, Rizal, San Pascual, Nangalesan, and Asin Road, Anduyan Bridge leads to the famous Asin Hot Spring in the municipality of Tuba towards Baguio City.
Previously, nung wala pong tulay dito, mga 2 hours bago makapunta dun sa Asin Hot Spring. 2 hours. At 2 hours and 25 minutes papunta ng Baguio City. At ako'y natutuwa, nandito po yung mga taga-barangay. Alam ko pong sila yung unang mabibiyayaan itong proyektong ito. Na yun naman po yung intention talaga ng ating Presidente sa pamamagitan po ng ating Secretary Mark Villar. Ito pong magagantong mga proyekto na nagdudulot ng kaginhawaan sa ating mga tao. At bahagi po ito ng kanyang program, yung Build, Build, Build. At kitang-kita po na lahat po ng projects ng infrastructure, lahat ng kailangan na tapusin, tatapusin namin. At nandito po ako para iparating sa inyong lahat na hindi lang namin tatapusin na po ng projects, dadagdagan pa namin ang mga projects, lalo na po dito sa La Union. Alam po natin na napaka-progresibo.
The 493.9 million construction of Anduyan Bridge and Arengay-Tubao Alternate Road will reduce travel time from Tubao, La Union to Asin Hot Spring, Tuba, Benguet from 2 hours to 35 minutes and will benefit 4,000 motorists daily. By expanding the road network, DPWH is one with the people in promoting tourism and accelerating economic growth.
And in other news, the United States expects better engagement with the Philippines in 2019 through increased military exercises. It also eyes closer economic partnership and improved people-to-people ties. U.S. Ambassador Sung Kim says the U.S.-Philippines relations grew stronger with the historic return of the Balanghiga Bells to its original home in eastern Samar. Kim also noted that the U.S. does not consider the growing relations between China and the Philippines as a concern. He says the U.S. would rather focus on strengthening its alliance with our country. He maintained that U.S. would continue its commitment to uphold the freedom of navigation and overflight in the South China Sea. Dagupan City hosted this year's Regional Festival of Talents featuring students from all over the Ilocos region. The Regional Festival of Talents is a showcase of talents and skills of students in elementary and high school, alternative learning system, special education, and madrasa. This year's event consisted of competitions in Techno-Olympics, Sining Tanghalan, Population Development, Tagisan ng Talino, and Language Skills Competition. In our foreign news, India has launched its long-pending communication satellite, which is expected to improve the country's warfare capabilities. The Indian Space Research Organization launched the GSAT-7A. It is a major boost to the network-capable surveillance capacity of the Indian Air Force. The satellite was launched from the second launch pad of Satish Dhawan Space Center. It will take a few days for the satellite to reach its orbital slot in space. India has also been working expeditiously to establish high-powered radar systems and other strategic assets to add strength to Armed Forces' nascent Space Command project. The Magnolia Hotshots have taken the PBA Governors Cup Championship with a runaway win over the Alaska Aces in Game 6. Magnolia ended the finals with 4 wins and 2 losses. Romeo Travis made 32 points and 17 rebounds to lead the Hotshots and win his first ever PBA crown. This is also the first title for Magnolia coach Chito Victolero in just his second PBA season. Paul Lee and Ian Sangalang added 16 points each. Mike Harris, the best import of the conference, had 26 points and 24 rebounds, while Chris Banchero had 20 points. The win completed San Miguel Corporation's sweep of all 3 conference titles this season, with the San Miguel Beer winning the Philippine Cup and Barangay Ginebra taking the Commissioner's Cup. Weddings are important occasions for every faith or ethnicity. 2 budding entrepreneurs from Zamboanga City has made it their goal to set up a total wedding experience for Muslims and Christians alike. More on this from Janice Cabe.
As more young Muslim Filipinos become mainstream entrepreneurs, many of them would prefer having big and glamorous weddings with their hard-earned money. This makes events coordinating a profitable business for Haja Kasma Abraham and her young partner Alnads Asbi. After freelancing for the past 5 years, they finally set up their own shop in Zamboanga City named Royal Vows. Abraham and Asbi can put together an authentic traditional Tausug wedding ceremony in a total package and experience. Their services also include video, photo documentations, and everything in between. They also organize other events like debuts and anniversary celebrations. Preparing for a wedding can be an emotionally and mentally boggling job for excited lovebirds. But with event organizers like Asbi and Kasma, the walk down the aisle and cozy nest beyond is a piece of wedding cake. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cabe.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories.
The Philippines is removed from the list of the top 5 most dangerous countries for journalists. President Duterte calls on barangay officials to join the fight against communist rebels. A lawmaker warns that the abolition of the road board may not stop corruption. And the Magnolia Hotshots wins the PBA Governor's Cup Finals.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And only 5 more days to go before Christmas. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.